Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. With your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day. Good morning, traders and investors. Welcome to this crazy Tuesday morning edition of Pre-Market Prep. I'm Spencer Israel here with Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick. Got just a crush of earnings to cover today. We just had McDonald's about 2 minutes ago. Also have reporting this morning and yesterday after the bell is Coke, Caterpillar, T-Mobile, Alcoa, Biogen, Whirlpool, DuPont, Juniper, just a ton of stocks we got to get to, plus a couple of news items we want to highlight as well. Only one guest today, that's Nick Shaheen. He's on at 8:35 like he is every Tuesday. He's our options expert and the author of Create Income with Option Spreads on the MarketFi platform. Joel, how are we doing in the S&Ps this morning?
We're doing pretty well this morning, Spencer. Up 4.25 points at 74.25. On the downside, keeping an eye on that pre-market low, 68.25. Looks safe for now. On the upside, Monday's high, 76.75. We'll have to take that out in order to get back to some highs that we saw in mid-March. We have crude trading in the red here by 4 cents at 49.19. Decline in crude now distancing itself from the $50 level. So we will keep an eye on the crude oil market. Always has a little effect on the S&Ps. And gold and silver continuing their decline. Gold down $8.20 at $12.6930. Silver well into the $17 handle, down 9 cents at 17.765. Dennis, no messing around today. We got a lot of earnings to cover.
Oh, wow. This is like earnings galore. Whenever we get one of these days, it seems like every year earnings galore. And we got a lot of Dow components even reporting here this morning. And let's start with one that everybody's following. It's been hot. It made 4 all-time highs in a row. We'll call it 5 now. Mickey D's, McDonald's is reporting here, Spencer. Give us those numbers. Stock is making another new all-time high.
Yep, new all-time high. McDonald's Q1 EPS of $1.47 versus $1.33. Sales of $5.68 billion versus $5.51 billion in Q1. So a good report McDonald's had for last quarter.
Just blasting off here, Joe. We're at 137.25 here now. McDonald's just trying to look in the book, and I can see some stock at like 135, 136. Looks like they're going to chew through all that, though. Only 20,000 at 135. That's not much considering it's trading like crazy right now because it just reported, but 35,000 shares already traded. The stock is getting a nice lift here in the pre-market. We know sometimes, it goes through the earnings digestion here, so, when did we report? It just crossed the tape, did it not?
Yeah, it was like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, so you're right in digestion period here right now. They're buying up offers here right now. So I'm going to sit and wait for the dust to settle on this one. Just, it has had a pretty good run up ahead of the earnings, but it looks like a pretty good report here. What are your technical thoughts here? It's always hard when stocks are making new all-time highs, Joel.
First, my fundamental thoughts, and hats off to all the analysts, Dennis. Wells Fargo, Bernstein,
they're all right.
Nomura, BMO Capital.
Everybody wins.
They were, so much for fading the analysts. They got it exactly right at this point. Nice move. I'll just give you the pre-market high, 137.57. Currently trading at 137.40. Blows away the former all-time high that was made yesterday at 134.76. Put it this way, I wouldn't be shorting the thing, but if I was an institution and I was long a couple million shares, man, oh man, I'd have some offers out there today.
Yeah, Mickey D's popping here, and then he can go another Dow component, Coca-Cola. It's actually trading flat, though. Coke was up earlier. It's giving some of it back here. Let's go to the KO report here, Spencer.
43 cents versus 44 cents for the first quarter. Sales of $9.12 billion versus $8.89 billion. They did reaffirm 3% organic revenue growth for the year, and as far as the EPS for the year, they see that being down 1 to 3% year over year.
And KO here, just trading flat. Joel, we were up a little bit earlier here. Now we're kind of trading flat. $44 if it was to go into rally mode is a huge number. We got up there just a few days ago, 43.79. If you go out to the weeklies and you go farther, that's where there was some size looming before. So I got to think, Coke 44, if it goes into rally mode, it's major resistance. But I don't even know if we're going to get up there. What's the pre-market high, Joel?
Pre-market high. It's not a pretty looking chart here. 43.50 is your pre-market high in Coca-Cola. That's just above yesterday's high. The only thing about this one, Dennis, is look at the run that this has had here. We've come up for the 40 and a half level, actually under 40 back in November. So man, I think you just needed a great report in order to keep this going. We'll see what happens. Obviously, I'll give you the only two levels you can really look at. That's yesterday's high at 43.43, and then the recent high of the move at 43.59. So 43.50, major resistance here. Big run ahead of earnings.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of overhead supply here too, and it has had a little run up here in the last couple of months. And this is a stock that people own for the dividend, so
Correct.
they don't move around nearly as much. So dust is already starting to settle here on Coke. Stock that is flying though, another Dow component. Man, all the Dows reporting here this morning. Caterpillar up 5 points here on their earnings report, and Caterpillar, you got to go way out to the weeklies here on the chart to find resistance on this one. Taking out the psychological $100 level on big volume too. 252,000 shares have already traded. We're an hour and a half before the open. This thing's going to trade 1 million shares probably before it opens for a $100 stock. That is incredible. Caterpillar, Spencer, how'd they do?
Yeah, for Q1, adjusted EPS of $1.28. That may not compare to the 62-cent estimate. It was 64 cents in the same quarter last year. Sales for the first quarter, $9.822 billion versus $9.26. So good Q1. More importantly, though, they did raise their outlook for the fiscal year. They raised their adjusted EPS from $2.90 to $3.75 for the fiscal year, and their sales was 38 to 41 billion. Well, that's what they're saying now for the fiscal year. It's 38 to 41 billion dollars. 38 was the estimate. So high end of sales, and they're raising that EPS outlook for the year.
Joel, what are you going to do for levels on this one?
Well, I'm going to look at the pre-market high, 102.79. Also, in this situation, you look at the half and whole numbers, right? 103, see if there's any size up there. I mean, I just think it's gonna open lower than this. I just don't know when, the rally is gonna stop or what level. There's gonna be a lot of stock in the book, Dennis. 97.
There is, but look at the volume, Joel.
Okay.
It's already traded 269,000 shares. I mean, we are at 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, and that's the one thing you've got to consider, when you say, looking at the book. But when you've already traded 269,000 shares of a $100 stock this early in the morning, I think it chews through everything in the book. Don't you?
Well,
What kind of size do you think? Even let's just say hypothetically at 100,000 sitting at $100. And I can look at the book right now. I can't see that far up because it only shows you so many levels here on my platform. But just hypothetically, I'm just guessing. There might be maybe 100,000, maybe 50,000. That's a big order for a $100 stock. You already trade 273,000 8 o'clock in the morning. By 9:30, what do you honestly think? We should almost do a bet. What do you think the volume's going to be on this at 9:30 in the morning? In an hour and a half.
Hour and a half here.
It's trade 273,000. People aren't even awake on the West Coast yet. I think this thing's going to trade like 1.5 million before.
Under.
You're going under on 1.5 million?
Yeah.
Maybe I overshot on this one.
Yeah. How is it going to go 750?
But just point being made is that's one thing you got to consider when you're thinking about book levels and stuff is always look at that volume. And I think, it's enough volume that it's going to chew through everything. Now, that doesn't mean it can't come back down, technical reasons, but I don't think the book holds it down. That's the point I'm making.
And that's a great point. I mean, where would you buy this off the open right now based on
I'm not chasing it.
Exactly.
I wish I would have been buying Caterpillar way back when everybody hated it in 2016 when it got under $60. Remember the stock? Everybody's like, Caterpillar's in trouble. Early 2016, we're down to $56. Oil was in the tank, and they're like, nobody's buying new machinery here. And Caterpillar, they're all throwing it out. Everybody on CNBC hated the stock back when it was $60. Now they all love it when it's 102. I mean, I still, I'm a big fader of, what the consensus opinion always is here. Everybody's loving it up here. Sure, it's got the momentum. It's off to the races. It's through the $100 psychological level. It could see 110 eventually. It could see it, but this is the definition of chasing. At least to me now, it feels like if you weren't in it for this, for 2016 when it's run from 56 to 100, now you're buying it up here at 102, 103. I don't know. Feels like chasing.
Well, first of all, we were going to go on this. Don't have time today on contrarian investing. How about when the feds were pouring into that place, going after tax records back in March? Remember that?
Yeah. And
Dennis?
then that sold off to the 90 level, and
Yep.
we've been straight up, and we forgot all about that now. So we're off to the races here.
All right, I'll just tell you where we are on the monthly charts. We are back at levels in Caterpillar you haven't seen since late 2014. I see a high there at 101.46 in December. Then you go up to 107.12. But go back to your dailies and see if you can find some daily highs there. We can hold the open. We may open up here, but man, if you're an institution, you're long a lot of cat. You've been holding this thing, maybe looking for a little diversification. When are you going to get a better opportunity to sell than when this thing's up $6?
I like, and if you were looking to get out, if that was,
If
you're out, then, you're getting an extra bonus here this morning. So it depends, I guess, on what your, our long-term outlook is for Caterpillar and what your reasoning is for sell. Would I sell just because it's up $6? It depends, but if I was already looking, saying, okay, it's starting to get lofty up here at 96, now I get the 102, but it's in breakout mode here too. You got to consider that because 100 was a big psychological level. If we do open over 100, it is a breakout here for the cat. And I don't like fading breakouts.
All right, well, there you are, up 5 to 9, 102.80. Just keep an eye on what the actual pre-market high is. Like, check it if you're trading this. Check it at 9:29 and 58 seconds. See what the high is here. Looks like someone may be stepping out here at 103. Pre-market high 102.80.
Did every Dow component report here this morning? 3M also reporting, Spinner pointing out, and every Dow component beat here this morning. 3M is trading up here another couple bucks too. Spencer, how'd 3M do?
I'm pulling it up on my platform, having a little bit of a search delay, so give me 1 second. I will have it in a moment.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah,
I went off. I went off the list.
You went off script on me. I was all prepared. I was all prepared.
I don't go everything. I wing everything. So I read the list and then completely ignored it.
Completely forgot about all the work that I'd put in before the show, just out the window. All right. Anyway, 3M reported Q1 GAAP EPS $2.16. That may not compare to the $2.06 estimate. Sales of $7.7 versus $7.47 billion. They again raising their fiscal year 17 outlook. They raised their EPS outlook from $8.45 to $8.80. That was the original range. Now it's $8.70 to $9.05. The estimate was all the way down at $8.63.
And the stock is getting a lift here too. And is this a new all-time high?
Oh my gosh, this is a new all-time high.
What is not an all-time high in the Dow? Caterpillar wasn't, but I mean, you look at here at these stocks this report, and we got 3M, and what was the first? Oh yeah, McDonald's new all-time high, 3M all-time high. The M's in the Dow are hot.
199.50. That's your pre-market high. Now this one you backed off $3 in. So Dennis, I got a lunch bet that the high of the day is in 3M. You won't see
$200, eh?
Yeah.
What was the high? Give me the actual high.
199.50.
Don't tell me those whole numbers don't work. Those whole numbers work.
Yeah, and you sold off $3 here at 196.50. All-time high from yesterday, 194.45, 94.23 close. So can't get me interested in the buy side until you come down to that gap area. Not sure if we'll see it today. Once again, the half and whole numbers are important.
Yep.
We are $3 off the high, so just as opposed to
whole numbers on when you're talking the big, when you're talking $194 stock. I'd stick with the whole numbers. I can see in the book 23,000 shares at $95, and that's liquidity that will come in at New York. And a big difference between 3M and Caterpillar here. Caterpillar's traded, and let's go back to Caterpillar volume, already 306,000 shares. 3M's only traded 14,000 shares. So you got to consider that. Buck will hold this down, and I think $200 is. I think it's out the window. I don't think it has a chance at 200 today. Maybe intraday, but not at the open. So I don't know. I'm a fader of the 3M rally.
Okay, I'm not going to go against you on that one. Average daily volume looks to be right around 2 million shares in 3M, so you can look at that on a percentage basis. CAT trades a little bit more. Yesterday, it traded nearly 7 million shares.
That DuPont's in the Dow too. DD reported earnings. Again, I'm away from the list here, Spencer, but DD is at least on your list. So DuPont, double D, reporting earnings here. Give us the numbers here. Another Dow component. Man, every Dow component's beat this morning.
Yep, DuPont reporting this morning. Let me pull them up real quick.
Double
I'm gonna have to
D.
scroll through my pro unless someone else beats me to it. DuPont, not seeing it. Give me 1 second.
It's on your list.
I know. Listen. I'm having some search problems on my pro this morning, so bear with me as
Is it DowPont yet? Did they finish that merger? Have we?
That's a great name for it. I never even thought of. Is it gonna be Dowpont? That's awesome.
I don't know. We'll have to
That's what it
check.
should be. No, the merger's still going on. So you got to watch. If you're watching
Okay, I
DOT,
found it.
obviously DOW
Sorry.
moves.
They reported Q1 EPS of $1.64 versus $1.39. Sales of 7.7 versus $7.5 billion estimate. So they beat both those numbers. There they see their first half EPS at $2.90.
And here, DuPont up $1.28. Here, I'm just going to go to the book and look on this. So you can see on the technicals, though, $82. If for whatever reason this just continues to decide to go up here, I'm not saying it's going to do that. I think there's major resistance up at 82. Snuck your head up there a couple of times late March. Actually, in early March, you were struggling at that level as well. We did eventually take it out, but I got to think major resistance up at 82 on DD.
Right, pre-market high. We just hit 80. Let's see, 80.99. If you're subscribing to the whole number theory, so potential 81. I do see a high just above 81, so I can give you a couple levels here in the 81 handle, and then after that, the resistance is out the door. April 6th high, 81.14. April 5th high, 81.52. And then Dennis mentioned a double top at the $82 level. If you're trying to buy this at a pullback, maybe get a bid out near yesterday's high, 80.07, maybe 80.10 if you're looking for a gap fill.
Going back to Spencer's list, TMUS T-Mobile from last night. This was one of the major ones here to report. It got a little lift and then got a little dip, and it's kind of just hanging out here. But give us the numbers here. TMUS.
9.6 billion versus 9.62 was the estimate. We had EPS, adjusted EPS at 38 cents versus 34 cents. They're reporting 1.1 million net additions for the first quarter, of which I was one.
TMUS here traded up just under $66. I gotta go and look. Oh, TMUS won't have a New York book though,
Because
it's a Nasdaq stock. We obviously can't see the New York book because there is no New York. But eventually they're gonna trade on New York, so that'll be exciting when they actually do that. But TMUS, give us some levels here, Joel.
Looking on your Thinkorswim platform here, 66.89. That's your pre-market high. We've backed off a $1.50 from there, so I stands as formidable resistance. All-time high yesterday made at 65.97, 65.93 close. So now that we're back under 66, I think that's going to be a relevant level with yesterday's high there at 5.97. If not, we're just in a full breakout mode.
Old Alcoa here from last night. Actually, AA is the new Alcoa. I believe ARNC is the old Alcoa, isn't it? Didn't they, when they did the spinoff of ARNC, I thought the legacy operations went to ARNC and the new service operations or whatever went into AA, but I get all confused. I don't know why they did it that way, but I think they did. Anyways, we had AA report last night. Give us the numbers.
Yeah, I think you're correct, Dennis, on that. Anyway, Q1 adjusted EPS 63 cents versus 53 cents. Sales of 2.7 billion versus $2.96 billion estimate. So they missed on the sales number, but they beat on the EPS.
And stock getting a little bit of a lift here. It actually was bouncing around a little bit of an accordion chart right after the report, and then it started to catch a bid, and actually has been trading up here substantially over 34 for the most of the after-hour session after it had the little bounce around, and it's been trading up here in the entire pre-market session as well. So it looks like 34, at least in the 34 handle, it wants to open.
Yeah, one high to worry about at 34.46. That was on April 11th. But then let's see if the sellers are back at the $35 level. Not one high exactly at 35 on April 3rd, but then you had a high just above and just below at the end of March. So you can hold this 34.50 level, looking for a challenge of 35. Keep in mind you had 3 daily highs within a 25-cent range at $35.
And then jumping over back to the earnings parade here again, Biogen, BIIB, that stock trading up a cool 12 points here this morning. Obviously pretty decent numbers there, Spencer.
$5.20 versus a $5 estimate. Sales of 2.8 versus $2.74 billion.
And stock up 12 points here. Joel, this is a stock that's trying to fill a gap.
Yeah, gap into a gap area, and it looks like we might do it. You did in the pre-market trading. Pre-market high on about 6,000 shares was 292. Now you gap down from the just under 290, 289.39 actually fills the gap here. So it's just nice round number like 290. We'll see if we can hold there. Then you can see not much up into 295. So there's some levels. Keep it. If it goes into reverse, I don't know. You need a gap fill, get all the way down to 278.69. That doesn't look like it's in the cards today. And let's just take a peek at the IBB. We've been talking about that $300 level forever. Let's take a look at that on a longer term chart.
Seems like Biogen and IBB just move together. Like, I know it's a huge component of it, but there's obviously other stocks in there. But the charts always look the same, don't they? Let's look at this chart. IBB versus BIB. They're always similar.
I don't know, Des. What do you think about this monthly chart here? I just pulled it up. We went from 400, found major support at 240. I mean, it gets that 300. It's done it 3 times since the end of
struggling up there. Same reason that BIIB keeps struggling at $300 as well.
Yeah, I just think that
major component in the IBB.
And you just got to figure, they're waiting for a little more clarity out of Washington for these.
No, I mean, that's the one big lag that's been over the drug sector here, and it's going to be something said about this again. There's probably going to be something done about this again, and that's the worry when you're buying, at least the short-term worry when you're buying the drug stocks. Long-term, I've said it a number of times. I own Biogen in my investment portfolio. I own Gilead. I own Celgene. I own Pfizer. I own Merck. I own Abbott Labs. I own AbbVie. I have all those stocks in my investment portfolio. I would say probably almost 20% of my portfolio is drugs. And it hasn't done that great as of late, but long term, I've got that investment portfolio for the next 20 years. I think the aging population, I think the drugs are on sale here because there's so many short-term worries right now. So if you have an investment time horizon of 25 years, I like the drugs. If you have an investment time horizon of a couple of weeks or a couple of months, well, drugs, there's a lot of, potential problems ahead.
You know what I've noticed as of late, and you probably noticed this too, President Trump hasn't been tweeting about stocks that much.
Nice. He slowed down on his Twitter account there. I used to always have the Twitter account, the Trump Twitter, right in the corner because what's he going to say today? Is he going to talk about Boeing? Is he going to talk about which stocks he going to talk about today? But they've cut him off a little bit there. I have not seen any individual Trump tweets on individual companies here in a while. I think they told him to cool it, and I think he did.
Yeah. No, definitely.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it is. Maybe
correct us if we're wrong, Chad, but I haven't seen a Trump tweet on an individual stock that's been market moving here in a couple of months at least.
Yeah, I think compliance in the White House kind of said, that might not be such a good idea.
Moving stocks around with your tweets. Stock falls 4%, stock pops 4%. Maybe you could cool that a little bit. Just keep tweeting, but don't talk those individual stocks and call those individual companies out because market don't like that, SEC don't like that. 3M here has given back most of the gains here. So, Joe, we were fading up at 197.50. We'd already be up $2.50 here. So
really, that gave that much back already, huh?
Yeah, we should have just. Yeah, it's already back down here. Light volume. It's back down to flat. Just kissed an odd lot at 195. Well, it's not quite to flat. 194.23 was the close. It was only up 77 cents here now. So giving back a couple bucks since we were just talking about it. There you go. There's fast money for you.
Mickey D hits 138, 137.70. Let's see the cat. Is the cat cleared? 103, 103 and a quarter, man. They're just walking the cat up here.
Yeah. All right, let's jump over here to, I got to go to my list.
Whirlpool. I got you. Whirlpool. WHR Q1 adjusted EPS of $2.50 versus $2.65. Estimate sales of $4.8 billion versus $4.75 billion. As far as the fiscal year 17 goes, they see adjusted EPS at $14.75 to $15.50. That is lower than the $17.50 estimate. So they missed the fiscal year EPS estimate by $2 on the high end.
Where is the company headquarters, Joel?
Benton Harbor, Michigan.
I had to just set you up for it because we knew you were going to. Every time they report, it's like every time a lazy boy reports, I try to tell the lazy boy story. Joel always got to tell us where the headquarters is. Whirlpool stock. Give us the technical levels.
Well, it's still traded. Is that an odd lot that traded here? Up $1.26. Well, 5,000 shares.
Let's take a look here.
Yeah.
No, it's trading some volume here. 176. Where do you see? Oh yeah, no, that's bid there actually. It's bid at 176.05. Best offer is way up at 177. So Whirlpool could potentially go higher.
Dennis, get out there at 176.82. That was yesterday's high, so we'll see if we can get to that level.
Don't
Above
see me
that,
out there. I don't see much in there. I don't
nah.
see much to 180 really. That's a $177 stock. I don't know if it's getting there, but I don't see much to 180.
Another level, I think
180,
that
I'm 180. I'm two hands selling though.
177.97, Dennis. You'll have to worry about that first. It's a March 16th high.
Spencer, I'm just letting you lead the way here because
Oh,
I don't even look at the list. So
appreciate it.
take us to our next earnings stock.
Well, let's go into CNC, which reported this morning as well. Centene, they reported Q1 EPS of $1.12 versus $1.05, sales of 11.72 versus 11.42 billion dollars. So they beat on the sales number, they beat on the beat on the EPS. As far as the fiscal year 17 EPS, they're coming in at $4.50 to $4.90. That's right in line with the estimate, and the sales figures coming in right in line as well.
And the stock, where is the stock here?
Odd
Uh,
lots traded up at 73.50. Boy, oh boy. Nice breakout here. You had it in yesterday's session, but closed at 71.99. Just going to go to the dailies here. Let's see if this whole area, what's it, just above 72? Yesterday, man, there was several highs. I don't know. I think it'd be more comfortable trying to buy this thing back in the lower 72 handle than just trying to short it up here at 73. One level you got to keep an eye on, 73.23. That was your March 1st high.
Joy or Spencer, going to continue to lead the way?
Sure. What about Eats? One of our favorite tickers, Brinker International, right? They own
Good
what?
ticker.
They own what? Chili's. They own what other companies do they own? Or what other brands do they own? Chili's.
They've got a number of
Actually,
brands.
all right. We'll go to the number first. Fine. Q3 adjusted EPS of 94 cents versus 85 cents. So they beat the number there. Sales 810.6 million versus 815.8 million. So they missed that number.
$46 is a big number.
Yeah.
If you look at the chart, this is a classic old support becomes new resistance trick because back in early 2017, you're at 46. We took it out hard, came back there in February, tested it for a couple of days, could not get through 46. Now we're right back up here at 46 again. You have a catalyst here. You got a little bit of a running start at it. Maybe we can take it out, but I'm going to say guilty until proven innocent here, and I'm not buying EAT above at this 46 level until I can see it significantly take it out.
Yeah, Brinker International trading up here. That 46 level popped out to me as well. Small gap to fill in that area too. Gap goes up to 46.50. So there's some work to be done in the $46 handle.
Let's jump away from the earnings parade just for a few minutes here, and let's go to the major news from last night, and that was Express Scripts. And if you look at it, it's trading down 11% here in the pre-market. ESRX losing the Anthem contract here, and that is the catalyst. And that somebody said on CNBC, and I didn't verify this. I don't know if you could verify this, Spencer, but somebody said on CNBC that this is 30% of their revenue. I'm not sure if that's true. I was just taking that from what somebody said on CNBC. But ESRX trading down 11% here. If that is 30% of the revenue, that's not good news.
They did actually have earnings yesterday, and this was part of the earnings report. This is after the bell there. So first I'll just give you the number. I'm not sure how relevant that'll be now, but Q1 EPS of $1.33 versus $1.32. Sales of 24.65 billion versus 24.99 billion. They did raise their fiscal year 17 guidance, but like you said, they did lose this big contract, and that's also the reason why CVS is up this morning.
Yeah, because CVS might potentially get that contract. So we have no news on that. That is just pure speculation here. But obviously, when you get a stock, it's losing a major contract, it's probably going somewhere. And a lot of people speculate it might be CVS.
Well, low of the day's in there, Dennis, at 56.40. That takes you back to levels that you haven't seen since March of 2013. When you bottomed at 54.57. Actually, that was in April. Now you're coming back and you're struggling at $60 here on your 15-minute chart. So the only thing I can say is someone bought a boatload here under 60 all the way down to that low, and they're just trying to scalp out of here, get it out at $60 and move on to the next trade above 60. things open up, but this is some bad fundamental news. You got a $7 gap in here. I just think if you go into reverse in this one after seeing that 56, 30, 40 low, you see buyers stepped up to 57, then they stepped up to 58, then they stepped up to 59. So on a pullback here, shorten this thing, I think you're going to find some buyers.
Jumping just to imbalances here before we cover the next earnings stock. Bank of America, 132,000 to buy. Nike, 105,000 to sell, going the opposite way. Gold's getting beat up. You had a couple of gold miners report there last night. Barrick is actually trading down 68 cents to pre-market. They reported. Newmont also reported last night, 82,000 to sell. Barrick, 25,000 to sell. Newmont there. Disney, House of Mouse, 56,000 to sell. Verizon, 38,000 to sell. So there's a few sell imbalances. It's all those Dow component earnings, though, that are really driving us up here this morning. Alibaba, 61,000 to buy, too. Baba, which we haven't talked about for a while. Alibaba made is that new all-time high, Baba?
No, you know what the all-time high
Getting
is.
there, though. Getting close.
Give me a whole number, what you think the all-time high is. And
120.
Yep.
I lucked, though. I cheated. I shouldn't have even said anything. I totally cheated. Anyways, those big whole numbers, don't tell us they don't work, folks. It's simple, and it works. I like it.
Trump is picking on Canada again, Dennis. Canada has made business for our dairy farmers in Wisconsin and other border states very difficult. We will not stand for this. Watch out. We are declaring war on Canadian farmers.
Is that what he said?
No.
Watch out, we're declaring war on Canadian. Did he say that?
No.
You made that part up. Watch out, we're declaring war. And last night, did you see this too, Spencer? Is that what you were going to try?
No. What are you going to say?
Last night, 20% tax on soft lumber coming from Canada into the U.S. That's going to hurt some Canadian, some Canadian lumber. I guess lumber makers, or what do you call them, forestry companies. I was just looking it up. Actually, there's one. What is it? All these are traded in Canada. It's CFP, I think, in Canada is one of those companies that's going to get the tax on them. And actually, a stock WY is one of your U.S. companies there. Although it's not benefiting here. It had a little pop and it's pulling back here this morning. But interesting, if he's going to start putting taxes on stuff coming from the Canadian border, it can't be good for the Canadian dollar. What's the Canadian dollar doing this morning?
Let's take a look here.
Canadian dollar is getting beat up.
Oh, Dennis.
Getting the beats.
Oh, man. You better.
Actually, this is a breakout here for the U.S. dollar against the Canadian dollar.
Wow, look at this.
Look at this chart.
Holy mackerel. Man, oh, man, they've been pounding on that. Spencer, what did you want to add?
I was going to say that AK Steel just reported about 2 minutes ago. AKS Q1 EPS of 19 cents versus 14 cents. I'm still waiting on the rev number, the sales number.
AKS, we like them when we get hot off the press there. Getting a 5% pop here in the pre-market. U.S. Steel getting a pop here too. All right, let's jump over to that one for Sympathy X. AKS 750, Joel, technical levels.
And you're right there. You got a double top to contend with right here, right now at 770, 769. You also had a pair of highs back at the 770 level back in the middle of March. So there you clear that. Say hello to your whole number of $8. But 4 highs to contend with at the 770 level. I like that level.
And then the sales was 1.53 billion versus 1.49 billion. So they beat that number too.
Any other earnings stocks you had on your list to cover here, or do we get, there's obviously a ton of them. And Chad, if you have somebody specific you want to see, because we had over 100 companies report here this morning, if there's somebody specific you want to see, let us know here. We obviously can't get to them all. We could throw one last one in, Lockheed Martin. Did we talk that one? Let's go talk LMT earnings.
Talk Lockheed Martin. Q1 EPS of $2.61 versus $2.79 estimate. Sales 11.1 versus $11.24 billion. They raised their fiscal year sales outlook, but they cut the EPS guidance, and that's again for the fiscal year.
And that stock is trading down 8 points here in the pre-market, so giving back all of its run-up here ahead of the earnings report. And we're getting right back into this thick area where we were hanging out here for a month and a half, so maybe going to go range-bound again.
You want to hear something interesting here on this Lockheed Martin? We were talking about Trump tweets, okay? We had a negative Trump tweet on December 23rd, 2016. Let's see here. You got hit on that day, December 23rd. You made a low at 247.01 off that negative tweet. And look where it is now. Just made a new all-time high yesterday, but that was yesterday. We need to discuss what's going on right now in the pre-market. 265 is the low, and I like that number because you had a low right at 260. It's actually a little bit below that, 264.04 on March 27th. So people caught short here. Want to see what happens at that pre-market low. I'd also keep an eye on 264.04. You want to take a little break here?
Yeah, let's take
I just want to say 3M in the red here now,
Oh, geez.
193.50. Man, we got to start doing these calls here, Joel.
But they're so quick, and there wasn't much.
That was
volume.
quick. There wasn't much in there either, so it was
Let's
still
do it.
digesting.
Let's do a Mickey D's.
We
up
both
there.
hated that one though.
Mickey D's 138 even, Dennis. That's the high back of 130.
These whole numbers work.
You just got to keep doing
Keep
it.
preaching
though.
whole numbers.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and get Nick Shaheen here. He's the author of Create Income with Option Spreads. He's going to have his charts ready for us and comment on this market. We'll be right back with Nick. Welcome back, traders and investors, to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep, brought to you by Benzinga Pro. I'm your co-host, Joel Elconin, along with Dennis Dick. We have Spencer Israel behind the glass, and we got Nick Shaheen on the line. Nick, how you doing on this great day for the Dow?
Doing great. Not as good as the Dow, and the markets seem to be on an upswing like nothing had happened. So once again, the bulls are in charge.
So let's talk about indexes here for a second. Obviously, though, Dennis and I are very, very partial about the S&P 500. I know that you look at some of the small caps as well. To me, the Dow, the way they bring components in and out, is just not as a good long-term indicator. Just talk about your favorite indexes.
I don't favor the Dow just because the way it's weighted. Like a move in Caterpillar this morning, let's say the markets were under pressure and one stock was up 5% and it's a high ticket item, then it just sways the whole index. So, I look at the S&P and to me, it's more representative of what's going on. The small caps seem to be run faster. So yes, it's a blanket on the whole market from the standpoint of if I wanted to see if the financials are impacting something, that's probably the better way to look at it there. But I tend to ignore the Dow. Let's put it this way. I don't refer to it as the market.
You don't even have to say that hypothetically, though, because actually we have Caterpillar trading up 5% here this morning, 6% here now.
No,
it's a $100 stock, so it's a major component. And the Dow, if you look at it, is trading up 0.6% against the S&P's 0.2. So there you go. It's not even hypothetical. It's actually, that's exactly what's happening here this morning.
Right, and that's why I mentioned it. And I think there was another one. McDonald's, was it also?
Yeah, Mickey D's is in there. And that's the other thing, because it's price-weighted index. The higher the stock price, the more weight it has, which, like a Coke, because it's only a $40 stock, is a lot less weight than McDonald's has because it's a $137 stock. And Goldman Sachs is huge weight because it's a $224 stock. So ridiculously constructed.
Yeah. So also the media tends to concentrate on the Dow, and most people on the street also do that on the regular street, Main Street. So like yesterday, if the markets were down, let's say the Qs were down 0.5% and the Dow was up 200 points, and the headline would be, markets were up today on French election results and blah blah. So people tend to focus on the Dow versus what really represents the breadth of the market, like 2,000 stocks in the Russell, for example. So yeah, you have to look at the whole picture. I can't just look at one, but the one that I would ignore would be the Dow.
Nick, I have your S&P 500 futures chart up here, and I know yesterday you weren't talking about fading this gap up, and either was Dennis here. You've drawn a couple lines here, not fighting the momentum in the market. When will you start to fight this rally?
Well, what I look at is the open interest on top of everything else. And the open interest tells me that the Bulls have a lot of support. So if they want to run, they can run without the worry about like their backs are taken care of. Somebody's watching their six, so to speak. So they don't have no reason to fall. They need a headline to fall. I've said that. Also, not just to fall, to consistently, have downside pressure. You need a game changer. You need a headline to come out wrong. Like we're expecting something this Wednesday. I'm so confused about what we're expecting this Wednesday. I thought it was August, and then they said, no, forget about it. It's not going to be this year. And now they come back, oh, no, wait a minute. It's Wednesday. I have no idea what's coming out Wednesday from the government as far as tax proposals, whatever.
He said by Wednesday. He said maybe by Wednesday, but
maybe. I didn't hear maybe, but anyway. So therein lies the confusion. So I don't know what the headline is going to be, and I'm sure it'll be great and tremendous, and billions and billions of dollars are being made. So the rhetoric is going to be bullish. How we perceive it, it will have to be obviously negative for us to sell the news. So I'm not looking to short it too tightly. Okay, if I want to start shorting something, I could, but I don't want to be too obtuse about it. Also, we have mega earnings coming, and those can move. I mean, if Google moves 10, 15%, and it has done it on earnings before, how do you think the market's going to react? How do you think Amazon is going to react? Actually, Amazon reports on the same day. How do you think Apple, Facebook, they're all going to be infected by it, and they're all going to move higher? The mega caps are in a beautiful breakout, a mega breakout if you want. And it's hard to short all of that. You need a reason to short all of that, and that reason has to come out new. I mean,
right,
we
Nick,
don't have it on the
I
table.
got to ask you here about stock. Now, I've seen you do this before. I know you give some pretty conservative strategies, and you like to do lottos in the earnings and stuff, but I have seen you, what comes to mind is Micron, when that had that big gap up after earnings and went to 29.87. I know you faded that move a little bit. I'm not sure how long you stayed in it for, but are you fading this move in the cat?
That cat, I've made more good calls on cat and lost more on it. I can't believe it. I make great calls on it, but for other people, not for me. So this time I just said, I'm just going to go do a credit put spread way out in time. And I did, and it's just working. I'm not looking back at it. It's way down current price, and it's probably down to zero by now, but it's way out in time to August at $70. I figured I'm going to get 15% on yield. That's all I want from it. I don't want to look at it. So I am long cat via a long dated credit put spread, and I'm going to call it a win. So if you wanted to fade something like that, and if like in Micron, for example, or in cat, if I wanted to short cat, I don't want to short cat's fundamentals. It's obviously delivering on the numbers. So I can sell risk against those good fundamentals way out in time, way below current price, get some money to buy the puts that I want to buy them now for the shorter term swing if I want to short it. That's how I would do it. So again, leverage what's working for cat, which is obviously it's got some value, sell risk against that value, collect the money, and buy puts in the near term, near the money, debit put spread, whatever you want, whatever your strategy is, to try to catch it down, like a retracement of sorts in cat. But I have no reason to short cat right here. Apparently they're delivering and promising even better things to come. So hard to short a story like that.
Couple stocks reporting tonight that are going to get some attention. CMG, Chipotle Mexican Grill, got the beats yesterday, actually. Have been running up, and then yesterday they pulled the rug out from under it. Stock fell 15 points here. Give us your thoughts here on CMG ahead of tonight's report.
Okay, so CMG apparently had a game-changing epiphany last couple of weeks, and it rallied, and that fit in my technical makeup of the stock. And I'm going to throw a weekly chart in there just to eliminate some of the short-term noise. And it's had a good run, but it had reached a measured move of sorts, however way you want to draw it. But I also noted that it entered a zone that has been pivotal, meaning from the zone, it broke out to like $1 billion back in 2014, and then it defended it about three times, and on the third time it fell through, and then never was able to recover. And here it is again in this zone. So for me to chase it from here, I have to see it really tell me that I can clear the zone no problem this time. Otherwise, I'd either try to do a debit put spread near the money with time on the clock, May or longer, or wait for it to fall a little bit, then do a credit put spread behind this beautiful new story that everybody came up with.
Johan Smith saying Kramer's been pumping this. See, he's been pumping CMG for a long time, Kramer, though. He's never got off the really CMG bandwagon there every time it pops up.
But he did put a time span on it. So find out what that, I don't know what it is, 18 months or whatever, but I don't know when he started the clock from this food poisoning scare that they had. Not scare.
Yeah, he used to say it takes so long, and he was using Jack in the Box as the example there. It takes like, I don't know, 2 years or something for this to really get out of everyone's
He had
system.
a number. he had a number. So if you follow Kramer, make sure you know that number. And when it started. Yeah, 18 months from when. And then traded along those lines. But I find I'd rather wait to see it prove me right about being able to clear this zone, and then I'll deal with it.
Another one reporting tonight in the chat, AT&T. Let's talk it. It's going to report here after the bell. We already heard from Verizon. They disappointed. We did hear from Verizon, didn't we, Joel? I'm trying to remember. Goldfish memory here. Wasn't Verizon last week?
Yeah, yesterday.
Okay, yesterday. Well, real goldfish memory. I can't remember yesterday's trades. AT&T reporting here after the bell.
I'm drawing a blank. Give me the ticker.
T. Oh yeah, T. Just T. Sorry. It should be ATT. But
I know. I'm typing ATT.
They used to have a preferred stock that was ATT, and that's why I think that maybe I don't know why they didn't have their main company as AT. I guess they just like just the T better. But they got the one-letter ticker AT&T.
So in AT&T, the zone that changes the game for me, or at least the line where I draw an important line, is somewhere around the 39 and change to about 39.50. So that's a zone that was pivotal, meaning it butted up against it several times for a long period of time and then broke out from it, fell below it, broke out from it, and here it is falling back to it again. So now it's regressing to the mean from just a mathematical perspective. And from here, it's literally a coin flip for me just looking at the stock. I don't know its fundamentals. I know there's a lot of competition. I know I switched to them from Cox Communications, so on the cable side. So I don't know the fundamentals, but technically, it's as much as a coin flip entering now. And if earnings are coming, that makes it even more so. But if you know the stock, then you can nibble based on your perception of value. So if I were to go long this name via the options market, I would sell risk at a level that it has been proven support, or lower if I can get premium. And if I can yield 10 to 15% from that, that's great. What does that mean? I can sell a credit put spread, which is a bullish trade. I collect the premium, and price never goes there. The premium is mine. So basically, instead of buying the stock at 40, what if I can sell some puts at 37 or 36? And if I'm willing to buy it at 40, I'd be willing to buy it at 36, and I'm getting paid for the opportunity to do that.
All right, Spencer, why don't you give us the news on Netflix here, then we'll get some technicals from Nick.
Right. Well, if you remember last year, they announced their planning for global dominance, but that plan did not include China, Iran, North Korea, a few other countries were missing. Well, Netflix has finally gotten into China. They struck its first licensing deal with China's largest streaming platform, which is, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, IQIYI. So it's not Netflix as we know it, but they're going to be licensing Netflix original content into China, their first foray into the country. So it's the first step in Netflix getting into that market, and I think that's the reason why the stock is up this morning. Okay,
so here's the funny thing about Netflix, and I track it obviously for a lot of people. And it had showed its hand recently. I'm going to show you the daily versus the noisy. I mean, not the noisy, the big picture. And it had the chance of a breakout or a breakdown, meaning the price range got tighter and tighter to where something had to give. So, and then it showed its hand downwards. So it broke down one tick. And then, boom, the next tick was up, and then recovered the zone. And then here it is in a breakout. So it kind of started a breakdown technically, and then reverted. Now it's in a breakout. And is it going to open 146, 147, something like that? So
it's currently trading at 146.45, up 262, right at the highs of the pre-market session. I don't know if I'd step out here at 146.50 area. Double top to contend with at 147.40. All-time high here, 148.29. Nick, how about your price line yesterday?
Hmm.
Really got a boost from the French vote. Any thoughts on price line?
Yeah, who knew that the French, elections could affect Priceline's income? So yeah, the Priceline is a beast.
You,
It trades
Nick,
like
you've said that before. You said that they get a lot of their from
I
Europe.
said they get. Yeah, I read. My research told me that about 40% comes from abroad, from Europe. So travel is obviously important, but are you not going to travel to France just because I have a president who is like Trump versus, say, a centrist socialist or whatever that
I'm not
Macron is?
traveling to France under any
Yeah.
conditions, but
So it is clearly in a breakout and ahead of earnings. You got to plug your nose if you want to go long it. I mean, it's an expensive stock to buy up here. I can't buy it up here, and I definitely cannot short it. So if I wanted to go along this one, I've said this before, if you have the stomach for it, you can sell either spreads that are way out of the money. I mean, you can build way out in time, 30% price buffer from current price up or down, and still get tremendous yield if you use the options market, but you have to know what you're doing. You can even do the naked puts sold. But you have to be willing and able to buy it at that price because by selling the put, you're committing to owning it. So if it falls through that price, then you find yourself put the stock, and it's a lot of money. And if you don't have enough to cover it, you're going to have a margin call. So it is dangerous. You have to know what you're doing. There are ways to mitigate that risk, but you definitely need to know how to do it. So up here into earnings, they would have to tell me some fantastic stuff for me to commit long right here at $1,800 a share.
what about a credit put spread? Spice is talking about that, Nick.
Yeah, credit put spreads are just fine. That's what I was talking about. I sell risk up or down. If I want to do an iron condor and build 30% buffer on either side and collect a lot of premium, the credit put spread on one side, the credit call spread on the other side, if I situate them way out in time and way above price and way below price, then I stand a chance at yielding a big profit. Because when you do an iron condor, that's why people like them so much. You actually reduce the risk, out-of-pocket risk, because the maximum loss risk, because you can't lose on both sides. You can only lose on one side or the other. So if I'm risking a $10 wide spread on the credit put spread, and if I collect $1, and then I collect another dollar at the credit call spread, now suddenly my total risk is only 8 because I collected 2 and I can only lose 10. So the yield goes up. However, now I can lose on both ends.
We've been on the line with Nick Shaheen. He's an option expert and the author of Create Income with Option Spreads. He joins our show every Tuesday with some great input. A pleasure always, Nick. Have a good week. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Can't wait for it, guys. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks, Nick.
852 S&P futures have exceeded the high from yesterday at 76.75. Just kind of drifting up. Spencer's asking about any earnings that we missed. If
Spinner wanted to know about MAS.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there were a bunch, obviously. Want to know where people MAS reported Q1 adjusted EPS of 41 cents versus 36 cents, sales of 1.8 versus 1.75 billion dollars, and they are again raising their fiscal year EPS outlook from $1.80 to $1.90 to $2. That's the new range, and $1.87 was the estimate.
We've been straight up here for 1, 2, 3. Wow, I guess we had one little red candle in there, but basically 5 days in a row from 33 to 35, running up into this report. Now it's gapping up again into the report. I'm just going to say 37.37. That was your high back on July 29th. I think that could put a lid on it.
Pre-market high 36.99. Dennis, do you know where the world headquarters is for Masco?
You've never asked this one before. I'm interested now. No, I do
Brensler?
not.
World headquarters for Masco?
No Googling. Spencer
Yeah,
doesn't know.
That's what I was doing right now. I don't know.
Not too far from my hometown of Monroe, Taylor, Michigan.
It's in Taylor?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Another local Michigan company. We got to give this one some more love. I like it now.
We should do an old Michigan show. Here we go. Pre-market high in Masco, 36.99. Dennis, you were calling the whole number at 37. Looking at the dailies and MAS, we have not been up in the $37 area. Going back to last year. So look at all those highs around 37 if we can rally another buck.
JetBlue.
Go ahead, JetBlue.
Yeah, Estraza wants to know about JetBlue taking off above the psychological $22 level here. We're trading up at 22.50 right now. 136,000 shares already traded too. So it's trading some volume. I'll just tell you on the weeklies, I look at this, $23 looks big to me.
Q1 EPS 25 cents versus 24 cents. Sales of 1.6 versus 1.63 billion dollars. So they missed on the sales and they beat the EPS by a penny. And we'll say I always have a nice experience flying JetBlue. I've never had a bad experience.
I've never flown JetBlue.
And,
Is it one of the cheaper carriers, Spencer?
Nope.
Nope. That's probably why I don't fly JetBlue.
And I was just thinking about you, Larry. I know you always talk about this stock, JetBlue. I hope you've wrote it out during its ups and downs here. Let's look at the pre-market high, 22.50. Go to the dailies. Man, I don't see much at 22.50, but I do see a spike high just above that. You might want to keep an eye on at 22.73. So that's a level to keep an eye on. Two stocks in the chat, and one that we haven't talked about in a long time. Unisys Corporation. Did they report or?
Yep, they reported. Q1 adjusted EPS was 65-cent loss versus 60-cent loss estimate. Sales of 664.5 versus 629 million dollars. So they beat the sales number. They did also reaffirm their fiscal year 17 sales outlook.
Little key reversal there yesterday ahead of the report. Took out the 11, went down to 10.75, and then closed above the previous day's high, way up at $11.15 here. So now you get the continuation of the move. Big 13% pop. Windfall for everybody who bought in the last week, and everybody who bought it before that's getting their money back. $13. Looks big to me.
Yeah, big spike up to 13.95 and some volume traded. Down back at 12.70. I keep an eye just above $13 now that you're back down a little bit. 13.15 and 13.55 look like a couple huge levels. But I mean, just think if you got caught in this little windstorm here, boy, you'd be glad to see this back at 13. And boy, institutions stepped up at the $11 level. Then you had the Red Dog reversal yesterday. So if you hold that, keeping an eye on $13. FCX is one that popped in the chat too. Is there any news on that?
Earnings. That's earnings too. FCX did report here. Spencer, you got the details on the FCX report?
It's 15 cents versus 18 cents. Sales of 3.341 billion versus 3.52 billion. So they missed the sales number.
Stock in a pop, 179,000 shares already trading here too. $13. I'm going to go old head and shoulders, like looking at this pattern here from March and April. Not that we're big pattern traders here, but you had the left shoulder just in the whole 13 area. Then you had the head way up to the 1360, 1370, 1380 area. And then, you kind of forming a little bit of an ugly right shoulder, kind of deformed there a bit. But get up there in the 13 area, I think there's resistance at that old neckline.
Yeah, pre-market high, just above where we're trading now, $12.72. I'd like to see what happens at $13. $13.02 traded there on April 13th, and then a lot of highs at $13.50, $13.60 area. I'm actually counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 highs. Let's call it $13.50, $13.55. So a couple potential areas of resistance in FCX.
And we got about a minute left here, so I just want to quickly mention a couple of ratings changes here that were of note. Best Buy getting upgraded at Bank America here. They're putting a buy on it. Price target $58. We got General Electric getting downgraded at Bank America. Amazon getting downgraded at Raymond James. It's down a couple bucks here in the pre-market. Conagra downgraded to sell, CAG, sell at UBS. And then you had American Express, Wells Fargo, and JP Morgan all getting upgraded at Guggenheim. Those were the major ratings changes from this morning.
Can we just talk about GE here? I mean, this stock is getting punished after a good report. Traded up to $30.99 on Friday in pre-market trading. Gave that all back. I don't know if we got near 30 yesterday, but Boy, oh boy,
I'll tell you, that 29 a quarter level, we are 10 cents away from there right now. That's a big level.
Yeah, look at that, 29 and a quarter, a couple lows there in late March, also bottomed out there in January. Boom, boom.
I might even try it at that level today. First time down here from being up at the upper end of the range. I'm gonna try if it starts taking. You gotta any trade you put on, you always gotta have a contingency plan there. So I'd say if I'm buying around 29 a quarter, maybe you stop yourself at like 29.10, 29.15, and hope for a bounce. Maybe give yourself 10 cents or so just around that level. But 29 a quarter looks like a possible level for me to try to pick the bottom. I don't usually like picking bottoms, but 29 a quarter.
Let me get a final balance update before we go.
Let's look here. 103,000 to sell on HPQ this morning. Bank America, like we said. Oh, no, actually, it didn't get an upgrade. That was yesterday. BAC, 254,000 to buy. Nike still 89,000 to sell. Cat, 109,000 to buy. General Electric, 104,000 to buy. Ford, 129,000 to buy. Verizon 43,000 to sell. Verizon's been not having a lot of love lately, and AT&T the opposite, 36,000 to buy. Wells Fargo 69,000 to buy, and Alibaba 77,000 to buy in Alibaba.
All right, S&P futures trading at the highs of the pre-market session, 78 and a quarter. Just a couple levels above March 21st high, 78.75, and then opens up into the 23.80 handle. So market following through on yesterday's gains. Spencer, you want to preview tomorrow's show?
Yeah. On the docket for tomorrow, we have Kirk Duplessis. He's the founder and head trader at Options Alpha. You should check out his site, optionsalpha.com. But that's it for us today. Hope you enjoyed the show. Busy one, as we mentioned. It would be. Hope you enjoyed Nick. As always, you can check Nick's site out at Create Income with option spreads. Just Google that. It's on the MarketFi platform. Nick Shaheen there. And that's it for us today. Please remember that all the information, material, and content from our show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be investment advice. You can catch the whole thing again on YouTube right now, or wait for the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher just by searching for PreMarket. Have a good rest of your day, everyone. We'll be back with you folks tomorrow for Kirk Duplessis and some more earnings reports.
Whether you're a short-term swing trader or a long-term investor, you need to check out Thinkorswim, brought to you by TD Ameritrade. There's a reason why Thinkorswim has been named the #1 trading platform, because it has it all. With Thinkorswim, you can trade stocks, options, futures, forex, and virtually every other type of order. Get notifications on mobile devices and interact with other traders in chat rooms. You can also use technical indicators and see the latest investing and trading education in Think Money magazine. If you want to keep up with the markets, you need Thinkorswim. To experience everything Thinkorswim has to offer, open a TD Ameritrade account today. Thinkorswim, the online trading platform for traders and investors. TD Ameritrade, member SIPC. All investing involves risks.